You're now watching Sports Bettor's Paradise on the Bet Rivers Network.
All right, Jimmy Ott Paul Stone looking at this Saturday's college basketball slate and the big one in Auburn, Alabama. Auburn and Alabama. And Alabama, boy, we looked at this 7-game stretch earlier in the season, Paul, but I mean, it's kind of taken its toll. The million-dollar question, will it be more battle-tested, playing games at a higher level for so long, so much more than anybody else, or low fatigue when we get into the tournament? It'll be very interesting to see the approach as well for the SEC tournament. We think this thing's going to be right under double digits. We're projecting this line to be around 9. And I got to tell you, I don't know if it's enough, Paul. We don't neither of us have a pick on that game, but I got to lean toward Auburn. I just think that Alabama is kind of limping to the finish line a little bit.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I've been concerned all year about the Crimson Tides. Obviously, they're a great offensive team, but just the way that they play defense. Auburn, I think they excelled in College Station, losing to the Aggies earlier this week. But with Alabama coming there to Auburn, they're going to be all hands on deck this Saturday. So, yeah, Auburn's going to probably give a supreme effort, and I think their supreme effort has obviously been quite good all season this season.
Big time. We saw the videos of them celebrating on the plane when Tennessee hit the shot to Alabama to give them the outright regular season championship in the SEC. I don't ding them at one bit for that exhale spot in College Station against a desperate team, against a team that was dying for a win, and you know they're going to bang you. Buzz Williams Aggies over in College Station. Let's get to the Saturday card. Let's get to the Big 12. And, Cincinnati, I've been calling for them to kind of get on the bubble. They did. And then they kind of throw out a clunker. Only 49 points in a 54-49 loss at home to Kansas State, who had kind of was past their regular season stretch where they beat 4 ranked teams in 6 games, a 6-game winning streak. So Kansas State goes to Cincinnati and beats them, so now they're on the wrong side of the bubble again. They go to Stillwater, Oklahoma here for the last game of the regular season. Oklahoma State quietly has won 4 out of 5 at home. So you lean it toward the Pokes here at home in Stillwater, Paul.
Yeah, both these teams are off Big 12 losses. Lost Wednesday night. Oklahoma State lost to Central Florida at Central Florida. 83-70 is a 6.5-point road dog. And as you mentioned, Cincinnati upset at home by Kansas State 54-49. Cincinnati actually favored by 8.5. At one point in that game. Kansas State did get their star player Coleman Hawkins back last night, though. You look at Oklahoma State at 6-13 in the league. They are in 14th place in the 16-team Big 12. But the Cowboys, they have been a tough out at Gallagher-Iba Arena. They are 11-3 on the season at home. Their home losses, Houston, Arizona, and Texas Tech. So you're looking at a trio of teams that are going to be no worse than a 4 seed, more than likely, in the upcoming NCAA tournament. So 3 really good ones. They've covered 6 of their last 8 home games. Cincinnati, on the other hand, they're 2-7 this season on the Big 12 road. Only road victories in the conference over Colorado and UCF. I project Cincinnati as a 1-point favorite. I'm going to take Oklahoma State plus a projected 1 over Cincinnati.
And I think you might even get a smidge more than that projection based on the you got to win. They got to win kind of approach by some of the recreational gamblers, because Cincinnati needs it. Oklahoma State's far out of the picture. Earn a chance at $10,000 in bonus credits with Bet Rivers Prop Packs. Place NBA same-game parlays to collect player card prop packs and earn rewards. You win based on how your player performs. So log into BetRivers.com or the Bet Rivers app to place your bet and get your pack. Let's go to the Big East. Creighton got bruised up, took it on the chin against Xavier, lost by 22, 83-61. Then they bounced back in a big way against Seton Hall. I thought Seton Hall was an improved team. Never in it, 79-61 here by the Blue Jays. And I like the Blue Jays team and love Coach Mack and the job he's done. They're a consistent winner in Omaha, Nebraska. And one thing we talk about this is the bully role, and that is where they're a big favorite. When they are favorites, so Seton Hall this past week, DePaul, Georgetown, Providence, they've all resulted in double-digit wins. Home crowd at Omaha, make sure this team's ready for it as well. We're projecting this line to be just under double digits. So I'm back on Creighton, getting back on track, playing the bully role again where they've been so profitable, -9 at home here against Butler.
Yeah, there's not too many gimmies in the Big East, Jimmy. Butler's mostly struggled in the league this year, especially on the road. And since the new year began, the Bulldogs only 1-7 against the spread as a single-digit dog. That could apply here. As you indicated, we project Creighton to be a 9-point favorite. So certainly can see the Blue Jays taking care of the Bulldogs Saturday in Omaha.
All right, let's get to your next pick, Paul, and look at Tarleton State and Utah Valley. What you got cooking here as Utah Valley 21-7 going to Tarleton State 12-17, but has won 2 of their last 3. We're projecting Utah Valley to be a road favorite of about 5.
Yeah, on Saturday night in Stephenville, Texas, Utah Valley is going to be in position to clinch at least a share of the Western Athletic Conference title. They could be in position to win it outright, and that's no small feat considering that the Wolverines were picked to finish 5th in the 9-team league in the preseason poll of the media covering the league. So Utah Valley's had a really good year, and they obviously have quite a bit riding on Saturday's outcome. So what am I going to do? I'm going to back that home underdog Tarleton State team, currently only batting .500 in the league. They're 7-7 on the year at home in WAC action. But the Texans, they're simply a different team at home. They're 5-1 straight up at home this year. Only loss coming to Grand Canyon, 64-60. They were getting 11.5 points at home in that game 3 weeks ago. I project Utah Valley to be a 5-point favorite. Might be a little bit more, but I'm going to say 5. I think Tarleton State's going to keep it close and perhaps even spoil the Wolverines' victory party. I'll take Tarleton State plus a projected 5 over Utah Valley.
All right, so Tarleton State plus the projected 5 right there. Let's get to my pick. And then we got a double barrel pick. Both of us coming in on the same team, and a hot team at that. Let's go to the Big 12 here. Texas Tech is back at full strength. McMillan, Williams are back. They missed a couple of games, including that home game against Houston earlier this year. The thing I like about Texas Tech in this spot when they go to Tempe against Arizona State, they're a mature team. They're an honest team. They don't just kind of go through the motions and then kind of rally back. Kind of simple than what Florida did when they fell behind 26 in Athens against Georgia. They are well coached, and they will not take Arizona State lightly. On the other hand, Arizona State, 113-100 this week in Tucson against their heated rival, the Arizona Wildcats. It was kind of a pretty big effort. They covered the number and just kind of left a little bit on the court, in my opinion, in that rivalry game. They were feisty, to say the least. Now they come back home in a little bit of an exhale spot. Not going to be much of a home court advantage. It's been a very disappointing season. Wonder about the future of their head coach, Bobby Hurley. Is he going to make it to next year or not? In Texas Tech, we're projecting this line to be about 8.5 points. So I just like this team being back at full strength, and man, when they get you, they try and put you away. It's an honest team, a mature team that just doesn't take their opponent lightly, as some others will have prone to do in this situation. Minus 8.5, we're projecting it. Take the Red Raiders minus 8.5 at Arizona State, Paul.
Yeah, as you said, Jimmy, it has been a disappointing season for Bobby Hurley in Arizona State. But just 3 months ago, let's turn the calendar back to December 3rd. On December 3rd, this Arizona State team, is hard to remember, hard to believe. Arizona State was 8-1 on December 3rd. They had already posted victories over Santa Clara, Grand Canyon, New Mexico, and St. Mary's. So they got off to a heck of a start. I said, man, this team's going to make some noise in the Big 12, and they haven't. Pretty much since that date, not much has gone right for Bobby Hurley and the Sun Devils, just 4-15. Since then, they are near the bottom of the Big 12. They've lost 9 of their last 10 games. As you mentioned, off that big rivalry game against Arizona, I could certainly see the Red Raiders rolling Saturday in Tempe.
All right, so Texas Tech, let's get to our last pick. It's a double pick, and so we don't compare notes. We show up. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree, but this is where we landed on, and it's one of the hottest teams in the country. The BYU Cougars have won 7 straight, including road wins in Tucson against Arizona, in Ames against Iowa State. During this winning streak, they're averaging 85 points a game. Man, they kind of continue that ball movement, that offensive efficiency that they had last year with Pope now in Lexington, Kentucky. So revenge spot as well for BYU. They lost at Salt Lake City a couple of months ago by 1 point, 73-72. So some rivalries this week in college basketball: Duke, North Carolina, Auburn, Alabama, and BYU and Utah. We're projecting a big number. I think it's going to be a premium ticket here. 13.5 is what we're projecting. So I expect it to be public as well. I will look for this line early. If you could get it available on Friday evening, I would get it, because this is a bit of a public pick, but damn it. I mean, when they get on top of Utah, they're not just going to take it lightly. They're going to beat the Utes as bad as they can. I think top form, playing great, revenge spot at home, the whole bit, because normally this is not a number I'm looking to lay any type of double digits. But it's funny. You're the same way, Paul, but on this one, we like the Cougars at home in this spot.
Yeah, a lot of us, sometimes when we look at a game, we kind of size up who are the pros going to be on and who are the Joes going to be on. And most of the time we want to be on the side of the pros, but I'll gladly hop on the bus with the Joes in this one. This is a rivalry that a lot of people in certain parts of the country, maybe who aren't that familiar with it, don't give it enough credit. I mean, this is one of the most bitter rivalries in intercollegiate sports. And that's another reason why I'm siding with BYU minus 13.5, because they're not going to let off the gas. They will lay it on them as much as they can. If they can win by 30, they're not going to settle for winning by 20. Not that they're going to win by 30 necessarily, but they will stay on top of them. As you mentioned, man, they're playing as well as anybody, not only in the Big 12, but really the nation over the last 7 games. Yeah. They've won 7 straight. They've covered all 7. You look at that 7-game win streak that they are currently on. As part of that 7-game win streak, they've defeated Kansas by 34 points. They're in Provo. That's the largest defeat, ties the largest defeat ever for Bill Self during his tenure there at Kansas. And I think you also mentioned their road victories during the streak, one at both Arizona and Iowa State. Very impressive victories, the latter coming over Iowa State in double overtime this past Tuesday. Over the past 6 games, and really all year, but the past 6 games, their sharpshooting guard, Richie Saunders, he's averaged almost 21 points a game, in the last 6 games. He's a homegrown product from Riverton, Utah, 6'5", off-guard forward type guy, one of the top 3-point shooters in the Big 12, shooting 44% from 3-point territory. So he is extremely accurate. It's made 68 from beyond the arc on the season. You mentioned the first meeting from between these teams earlier this year in Salt Lake City. Utah won that game in overtime, 73-72. Looking at the box score of that game, and coaches and players alike, they make note of these type of things. Just kind of a side note, but in that game, the Utes shot 32 free throws. BYU only shot 10. So, that's something to think of there. We're going to have to pay a premium. There's no question. There's not much room left on the BYU bandwagon. The line maker knows it. I think it's going to be about a 13.5-point number, but I'm going to lay it BYU minus the points over Utah.
Yeah, and the only thing that kind of stops BYU is if they really cold from the perimeter. I remember that Arizona game that they lost at home by double digits. It was just a really cold shooting night, but they're hot right now and revenge spot. They're not exhaling at all as a big double-digit dog here. They're ready to try and beat the Utes as bad as they can. So next week, Monday and Thursday, we'll drop our podcast for championship week. So we will project in some of the different major tournaments that are going on, and then we'll get to the field of 68 in the NCAA basketball tournament in a couple of weeks. March, that time of the year. For Paul Stone, I'm Jimmy Ott here in the Sports Bettor's Paradise on the Bet Rivers Network.